What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Formula Podcast. I'm your friendly neighborhood host, Trevor Carlson. It has been a long time since I've recorded or released much of anything. So if you haven't tuned in before, or if you need a quick refresher, the Formula Podcast is where I share my experiences, experiments, and conversations around designing a fulfilling life and whatever that means for you. I'm going to share stuff that I try that I feel like makes me feel more fulfilled, happier, whatever it is. Conversations I have with folks who are, maybe it's somebody who's survived life-changing illness. It could be somebody who is advocating against child sex trafficking. It could be, I've interviewed a Bosnian war survivor. It's a lot of different folks from a lot of different backgrounds sharing their perspectives on life, how they got to where they are, lessons they've learned through their struggles or their accomplishments, and seeing what the commonalities are. Everyone just kind of listen and pick and choose what works for you, and try them out for your own personal formula. What's up, dog? That's our horse, Loki, that stays inside here during COVID. So yeah, he's huge. So where have I been for the last year? Because I haven't released really much of anything. So that's what I'm here to tell you today. So the last episode I did, I don't know if I ever released the one with Mateen a bit, the Romanian travel vlogger that I met in Vietnam. Let's rewind a bit. Last year, right after Halloween, so right around this time of year, I was riding a motorbike across Vietnam. I had attended a Lindy Hop Dance Festival, which was a ton of fun. Vietnamese people sure know how to throw an awesome event. So really appreciate you guys doing that. That was such a good time. And then I went up to Sapa, stayed with some Hmong tribes after that before renting a bike and heading south from, where was it? Not Saigon, Hanoi. Heading south from Hanoi, heading towards Ho Chi Minh City, or otherwise known as Saigon. I was having an amazing time. I was riding by myself. I met a lot of these amazing people. I went to this place called Phang Na, stayed there for a while, checked out these caves. The jungle there was just insane, right? Like I was having such a blast. And so I'm driving literally through the middle of nowhere on these highways. I actually stayed off, pro tip, if you drive a motorbike or motorcycle across Vietnam, stay off the main highways. They are very dangerous. So I was taking a lot of back roads, and I believe it's the Ho Chi Minh Highway or something like that is what I was on. Now, what ended up happening is I was almost to I believe it's the Hai Van. So I'm probably messing up the name. The pass in Top Gear, they cover it on an episode there. It's a really famous pass where you can see all these beautiful. You can see these islands, you can see the coastline. It's just gorgeous. So I was almost there. I had left the city of Hue, which was the previous Vietnamese capital. I was kind of cruising, maybe going a little fast, and I passed this semi. I came out of a tunnel, and my sight was adjusting still, and I was looking over to make sure I had gotten around the semi, because you pass on the shoulder of the road, and I look up, and a herd of goats is on the highway. I hit the brakes and I leaned left, and I must have turned. My adrenaline must have taken over, and I crashed. So I went over the steering wheel, or the handlebars, and I was going around probably 40 or 50 miles an hour. And when that happened, and I went rolling down the highway, and yeah, so my stuff was scattered everywhere. I started to gather it up, and I realized I was in a lot of pain. So I grabbed the bike and I tried to drag it off the road because it was in a couple pieces, and I gave up. I just sat down in the middle of the road, and I couldn't keep going. I just was like, I was in shock. I had a concussion. I was bleeding all over. Sorry for anybody who's squeamish. Yeah, so these random Vietnamese guys, these young guys, came over and they helped me out, helped me get up. They drove me and the bike to a repair shop. At the repair shop, they basically left me there. No one's there. It's just me, and I'm sitting in this little plastic kids chair, and I thankfully I had a medical kit with me, so I remember, like, getting out like antiseptic and bandages because my forearms just got shredded when they hit the road, and dumping anesthetic on myself. Oh my God, it was unreal. I don't know. For some reason, I was extremely calm. I think it was because I had fairly bad concussion, but I cleaned myself up. Finally, this random woman shows up, and she's like, "Oh my God, you need to go to the hospital." And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And she's like, "Get on the back, I'll take you." So we go to this local hospital, go in. It's like this, it was kind of like, it felt like somebody's home with like a doctor's office in the back. So we go in there, they give me these like really small bandages. They clean up my wounds again. They tell me I probably need x-rays, and I mean, I'm limping pretty hard at this point. So I had my AirPods in my pocket, and when I rolled, it jammed the AirPods into my thigh, and I thought I broke my leg. It hurt so bad. This lady's like, "Okay, well, I'll drive you to the next town. It's to Hoi An. That's where the hospital is." And so I'm like, "Okay, I just need to go to the hospital." Like, I don't care how I get there. I made a couple bad decisions that ended up coming back to haunt me later, which was I agreed for this random woman to drive me there first off, and then she ended up later on, there's a lot of extortion involved with me getting the bike back and getting it back to the place I rented it from. I'm going to write that off to being concussed and not really know what was going on and not thinking through what I was doing. So they give me a ride. They drop me off. The hospital was interesting. So I get in there. The first thing I notice is there is a spider like the size of my hand up in the corner of the room. The hospital was really nice. It was a modern hospital. It's all good. But there's this giant spider up in the corner. There's a translator in the room, and I'm like, "Dude, why is there a spider in this room that's this big? Like, what's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, it's fine. If you're in a hospital, if it bites you, it's the best place to be." And I'm just like, whew. End up spending, I was there for a few days. I checked out. I checked into a homestay a little ways away, and I ended up staying in that town for a few weeks, just like having my bandages changed, wounds cleaned, making sure my x-rays are clean. Man, that's how I met Mateen, a bit the Romanian. I walked over to this coffee shop and I like limped in, and I couldn't bend my left arm for a few weeks, probably a good month. And he noticed I was like all bandaged up, and I just walked over there, and there was no tables open, so I was gonna have to go walk somewhere else. He offered me a spot at his table, which was really awesome of him. And yeah, shout out to Mateen for being a cool cool guy and letting me sit at the table with him. So I finally got the bike back. It cost me, I don't know, $400 or $500 just to like get the thing back and get it fixed, and it was just a nightmare. The lady seemed really nice at first. I'm thankful she drove me to the hospital, because otherwise I don't know how I'd have gotten there. But yeah, be careful what you agree to when you're in that state. And yeah, so I ended up having to get the repair shop, the bike rental place to come pick up the bike, because I couldn't bend my left arm more than like this. And I figured that probably wouldn't be a good idea to drive down the Vietnamese highway with one good arm. I didn't really want to have to go through getting into another accident again. That was not that much fun. The rest of the trip was pretty cool. Went to Dalat, met up with Mateen and some other folks there. Got to experience that pretty cool French chalet. Definitely would recommend visiting it. Then I made it to Ho Chi Minh City. Met up with some guys from Iowa. That was a lot of fun. If you want me to tell you what happened that night and in Ho Chi Minh City, which I'm pretty sure after this, my friend Trace told me to get the out of Vietnam, because not that there's anything wrong with Vietnam, it's just that my luck was just not good at that point in time. Just a life pro tip: do not drink mixed drinks at kind of shady bars. That's pretty much all I'm going to say at this point. Buy me a drink, and maybe I'll tell you the rest of the story another time. I flew back from Ho Chi Minh City. I came back home because I have a family member that's dealing with dementia, and I wanted to be supportive to the rest of my family. Yeah, so I went to Thailand after that. Was doing a test trip because I wanted to launch a travel company, kind of an adventure travel company with another friend of mine, Kara. Turns out that was a really bad time to start doing that. After everyone left from our test trip that we did, I had signed up for Muay Thai camp. So even though I was still recovering from my injuries, I did the Muay Thai camp, and then I ended up in the hospital again. So this was in February. January, February is when I started to notice I was having some other issues from the accident that I didn't realize. I was like kind of like long-term side effects, I guess, of wrecking a motorcycle or motorbike. Back up a step. I ended up in the hospital. They said I was dehydrated, but I had some weird. They didn't know what I had. I was running a fever. I couldn't breathe. A lot of the Muay Thai camp also got sick. I was on bed rest for like 10 days after I went to the hospital. So that wasn't really that much fun. So I ended up flying back shortly after that, early March, just because COVID was going on. So I flew back and I was in bad shape. So what I had found was from the bike accident, I was seeing double, was dizzy a lot of the time I was walking around, had a lot of neck pain, was getting migraines pretty much constantly. I was just kind of messed up and I needed some time to heal up anyways. I ended up coming back here, and as soon as I came back, I ended up staying with my friend Danny, who's a place I'm at now, renting out a room here. Thankfully, they didn't shut down when they went into like a mini lockdown here. They didn't shut down the physical therapist, so I started going to get fixed up. Spent a few months and thousands of dollars on that, and I still wasn't really happy with where I was. Didn't have the mobility I wanted in my shoulder. When I hit the ground, I rolled, because otherwise I probably have gotten hurt way worse. But when I did, I jammed my shoulder into the ground. And so I started 30 days with yoga with Adrian playlist, and kind of got myself mostly fixed back up. And then Julia Abbott, who's going to be a guest in the future, she's a yoga teacher here in town, and also the host of another podcast I'm producing, the Ethical Consumer Podcast. So I started going to her yoga class. They have a very limited social distancing class and go about an hour a day. And man, I tell you what, physical therapy definitely helped, but yoga is a life changer, man. I remember the guy I was going to, he was like, don't do yoga. People get hurt doing yoga. I'm like, what are you talking about? Who gets hurt? Who's getting hurt doing this? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. It's been a long 8 or 9 months. I haven't really released anything since last November. I haven't really written much of anything. Mostly I've just been like trying to take care of myself and get back into shape. Last year at this time I didn't have glasses. Now I do, because apparently that's part of the side effects. My vision's a little messed up still, but it's been getting better. Hopefully it continues to get that way. I've been hanging out in Cedar Falls, Iowa since all this crazy COVIDness started, and done a couple micro trips, but I've mostly just been hunkered down here trying to wait for the whatever is going to happen with like getting COVID under control. I thought about traveling, but it just seems like even the places that are open, it just seems like a less of an ideal experience that I would normally want to have, and wouldn't really allow me to fairly assess or like have a great experience at some of these places. So I've been trying to wait it out, even though I'm dying a little and I really want to go. I'm gonna try to hold out until at least springtime. That's still a ways away, and we got Iowa winter coming, so that is gonna be tough. Normally I like to end something like in these episodes with a lesson. I just really wanted to share with you guys where I've been. Honestly, I felt when I was driving across Vietnam, I just felt kind of invincible is not the right word, but I was just like, I'm not scared of much, and I don't know, it kind of took the wind out of my sails a bit, and physically I wasn't feeling like myself. I'm still probably not 100% back to normal. I'm getting a lot closer than I was. It's just taken a lot longer than I anticipated to get here. One of the lessons is like, shit's gonna happen. You're gonna get your ass kicked. You're gonna end up face planting on some cement somewhere, and you're gonna have to work your way back. And it's not gonna happen overnight. And it's a step-by-step process. At least for me. That's it. It's just part of the game. Thinking about the lifestyle that I had before COVID, and then looking at where things have gone this year and where they're going, and it's like really weird, the things that I think about missing. I think I miss dance events the most. Man, November, I've gone to like a couple Novembers ago. I was in Romania at a swing dance festival with the Boozy Cats. Last year I was in Vietnam, in Hanoi. That was a lot of fun. I really miss those events. Once all this is over, everyone should pick up some social dance. It's such a good time. I don't know. I also just miss sitting in cafes for hours just talking to people and getting to know people even more. I don't know. I just enjoy that personal one-on-one time that I feel like I'm really missing right now. Also, I love meeting new people. I love meeting strangers. I love talking about where people came from, what they're doing with their lives, what they want to do with their lives. And strangers don't want to talk to you. And also, you don't want to talk to a lot of strangers because everyone's trying to social distance. It's just weird. I'm looking forward to that coming back and being socially acceptable someday. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of miss conversations of substance versus conversations about like politics and COVID. I'm kind of, I miss. I understand why people want to talk about politics and COVID, and it's important, but I also miss talking about other things. And it's just became post-election here, so maybe we'll see, or starting to see, like people not talking about politics as much, maybe things calming down a bit more. I don't know. We'll see what happens. One can hope. So where do we go from here? Like, we've all been in this situation for 8 or 9 months. It's been tough. I think it's been tough on people who don't have. I mean, I can't imagine not having roommates right now. That'd be tough. Thankfully, I have Danny and Jesse and these 2 dogs over here to to hang out with. Otherwise, this would have been a challenging year. I really feel for a lot of those people out there that don't have that, and that's gotta be tough. So, but I'm here if you need anything. Hit me up. Happy to talk. Hop on a Zoom call. It's probably a little too cold now to go on a hike, but I'm always happy to meet up outside and do something. So if you need anyone, I got you. Hit me up. Happy to do that. Just to wrap things up, thinking about where we go from here. I was thinking back to an interview I did with 01, the Bosnian War survivor from Sarajevo. He said a lot of interesting stuff in that episode. I'll drop the link in. You can go check it out later. It's definitely worth a listen. He just has a very, very unique perspective on life because of his life events. Yeah, I would go check it out and just and he says, what does he say? He says something like, let me check my notes. 01 says something along the lines of, just remember, a new day is coming. This is going to be over. This is going to be over eventually. And every day that you're alive is a second chance to do whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, for most of us, for people who have the privilege to do that, whether it's, you want a different job, you want to write a book, you want to move to a different place. Once this is over, I mean, we all get a second chance to do whatever it is that we want to do. So, I mean, I've been thinking about that a lot too. I mean, for me, that means I want to podcast more. I want to write more. I'm sitting with this friend of mine, shout out to Chris in Des Moines. And I asked her a question, like, I'll probably annoy the shit out of the people with this question, but I was like, if money is no object, what do you do? What do you want to do? And she answered it, and then she flipped the script and asked me, and I was like, I would like to travel around the world and interview interesting people. And I'm like, man, that's kind of what I was doing the last few years, and I have really gotten away from it with the injuries and then with COVID, and I don't think I don't want to let that stop me anymore, have that be an excuse. So this is me jumping back in the saddle, back in the game, whatever you want to call it. I think that, it's something we all need to think about is once this is over, what's next? I mean, maybe it is helping the people who aren't as privileged as we are to be where we're at to help them live a better life. Maybe it's, maybe you want to go travel somewhere you've never been to. Maybe you want to start a podcast. Maybe you want to, whatever it is. I mean, as long as you're still breathing when all this is over, you have a chance to do that. So, everyone, this is just my PSA. Take care of yourself. Social distance. Wear a mask. And if you need somebody to talk to, hit me up. I'm happy to jump on a Zoom call or something. Anyways, drop a comment below. Let me know what your plans are after all this is over. Hopefully sooner than later. It sounds like Pfizer, someone just was going to release a vaccine Q3 of 2021. So that's at least one end date that we have to look forward to. Yeah, drop a link in the comments below. Send me a message, whatever it is. Just let me know what your plans are once this is over. Whatever it is you're looking forward to the most once the time of COVID is past and we're able to go experience normal things again. That's a wrap for this week's show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to either watch on IGTV or tune in on whatever your favorite podcast application is. Have a few cool episodes coming up, ones that I recorded previously that haven't been released yet, and some new ones that I'm excited to share with you guys. So take care, and I look forward to you stopping by next time. Ciao, guys.